One day I'm going to imagine that this gets better or easier. Hello, everyone, and welcome. And I also should check to see if I have big hair before I get here, but it's too late now. Good evening. Hi, Joe. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Mom. I am just trying to get you guys with my comments on the side. Hello, Rhonda. We're going to just wait one more minute and we'll get started. I'm not sure why my comments. No, I'm just going to see if this is what I'm looking for. It is not. All right. Hey, Mona. Hey, Julia. Yeah, okay, there we go. I found it. Okay, you think that I would get better and better at this whole Facebook Live thing, and it doesn't happen. So welcome, everyone, to Lessons from Your Soul Reveal reading. This is a Monday night class that focuses on just sharing with you little nuggets of information about how to use your soul reveal reading pieces. So this would be our 3 divine assignment pieces, our 3 fear story pieces, and our 2 spirit guides. Ideally, when I talk about these pieces, I'm talking about the whole human being user map, where in the center of our map is our true purpose for being on this planet, which has 2 parts. One part is our positive polarity, what we're here to learn, who we're here to become. We don't choose human beings for no reason. So what is that reason? It's our power energy. We all also have a negative polarity, which is our trigger energy. Under the law of or principle of polarity, one cannot exist without the other. Just like this is to each of us a dime. This is a dime, right? You see this sitting on the street and you know it's a dime. But this dime has both a head and a tail. We don't think of this dime as the head, nor do we think of this dime as the tail. It's still the dime. This is why we chose human being. One side is if it lands in that direction as we flip it over, well, that's tails. That's going to be the trigger. Next time, it might be the power. This is a very simplistic way of saying that we have 2 options in the way in which we choose to perceive. One will be our power, which is our positive polarity, and one will be our trigger. If in using this fundamental mystical center of our true self, if we choose our power, then it's going to express as love stories. It's going to have a higher frequency and vibration. And we have 3 of those stories that align with our divine assignment pieces. Our trigger, should we choose that, is going to express as our fear stories. Neither is good or bad. It's the effect of the cause in choosing which way that we're going to perceive. If we choose our trigger and we perceive from our fear stories, then we're going to have a lower frequency and a vibration, and that's going to begin to affect our spiritual connection, our mental capacity, our emotional competency, and our physical experience. If we choose our power, we're going to raise our frequency and vibration, and that's going to have a more positive impact on those 3 things: our physical well-being, our emotional competence, our mental capacity. All of that becomes our spirit energy. Why is this so important? Because each of us have a unique map within us. Whether we understand it, whether we believe it, whether we like it or not, this map, this energetic influence is working through every cause and effect in every given moment. If we think about something from our positive perspective, our love stories ensue. If we think of something from our trigger or our negative perspective, our fear stories ensue. That's just a natural law. It's how human being works. What is effective in all of this is that all of you know what your divine assignment is. When I share this information with you, I gave them letters and numbers. Your divine assignment pieces are D1, D2, and D3. This is important because this is the legend to your map. Your divine assignment pieces explain in unique to you terms how you create your reality, what your true path looks and feels like, and how you best navigate the outside world. And so with this information from your Soul Reveal reading, you literally have all of the tools necessary to let the external world fall away, or at least get farther and farther away from influencing you, to be able to go within. In your divine assignments, again, there are 3. The first being our gender energy and how we literally create our reality. Male energy is task-oriented. They create by learning and sharing. Female energy is mission-oriented. They create by learning, processing, nurturing, and then sharing. This is important because if you don't feel mostly awesome and you don't know why, you only have 3 things to look at. Your fear stories. If your first fear story is expressing, it means that you're not in alignment with that first divine assignment. It is that simple. It's just a matter of training ourselves to be presently aware of the moment, to be within in our conscious self-awareness. If you don't feel awesome, all you need to do is figure out which one of your 3 fear stories is expressing. The challenge is that if we don't know what our fear stories mean to us, if we don't bother to take the time to understand those expressions, then we're going to find billions, literally billions, of outside ways to justify, to explain, or to attempt to understand the current situation we're in. And the farther we go out of alignment, the lower our vibration goes, the more likely that it's not just one of our fear stories that's activating, it's all 3. And so we are left confused, frustrated, and overwhelmed. Our goal here is to create a practice for me, which is through meditation, in every single day, in every single moment, that we're consciously aware of the fluctuation of our energy. If you don't feel mostly awesome, ask yourself, is it my first, my second, or my 3rd fear story that's activated, that is expressing itself? In that moment, you know where you're out of alignment. So let's say it's your 2nd fear story that's activated. Your 2nd divine assignment is your true energy type or your true path. It's the way that you chose to be able to experience human being to the fullest. The challenge is it's masculine or feminine. And we have been corrupted to believe that a man is a masculine being and a woman is a feminine being. This has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman, and it has everything to do with the way in which your body processes the external environment. Masculine energy is fast-moving, action-oriented, very adaptable to risk. Whereas feminine energy is slow-moving, nurturing, not adaptable to risk. In human being, we're taught that we have to be fast and assertive and action oriented. We have to do, go, go, go. So many people learn to be masculine energy, and they've forgotten to be in their truth. Or in our society, women are told to be quiet and nurturing and slow and to just be, not to take action. And so we become what we're expected to become. When we're very aware of what our divine assignment is, what happens is we are able to shift out of only focusing on the lower frequency and vibration. The reason that I break the human being user manual into the soul reveal reading, where we just do the divine assignment and the fear stories, and then into Discover Authentic Self, where we find the power and the trigger and the love stories, is because if we don't know what our fear stories are, how they express, what messages they're trying to give us, we are going to ignore them, avoid and escape. We're going to want to, and as we should, be in that love energy, which is how our power expresses. The challenge with that is we don't get to know ourselves from that perspective. We don't know how to stay in that energetic flow. And so what we have is the opportunity in the soul reveal reading to understand the foundation, what the divine assignments mean, and how the fear stories guide us into their alignment so that we can be in our power and our love stories, which comes in as the next part of the course. Lynn's asking, can you go over how a D1 female, D2 masculine should navigate? Yes, absolutely. So there would be multiple ways that this would play out. You can be, well, let's start with Lynn's example. Female, masculine. Female simply means, let's start here. None of your divine assignment has anything to do with your sexual body. It has nothing to do with whether you are a man or a woman. And the challenge in that is that society has corrupted and put into the same bowl, as though it's the same thing, male, masculine, man, female, feminine, woman. Each of those are completely different things. Woman is a physical description for someone that has a vagina and is able to carry a child. Female is an action of creation, a way in which, a process in which action is created. And as feminine is a path, is an expression of purposefulness. Male being the same thing. Man is a body with a penis that has the ability to plant a seed. Masculine energy is a way in which one experiences the outside world. Male. Did I do that right? Man is the penis. Masculine is the expression of the outside world. Male is the way in which one creates. So let's go back to Lynn. Female, masculine. How do they navigate? A female masculine person navigates the outside world by creating their reality in a 4-part process. They first learn something or learn about something. They process it in a way that they shift that information into knowledge. And then they create something unique to them that they can nurture and share with the world. Whereas male energy is not in that mission process energy that needs to complete a cycle. Male energy is task-oriented. They're here to learn as much as possible and share that information. the story that I like to tell, and hopefully you've heard this, is if I'm masculine, or sorry, we're talking about female, male. Okay, so if I am male energy and I'm task oriented, and you are female energy and you are mission oriented, and we have the exact same situation happen to us, it's going to be expressed in two different ways. So let's say, for example, both of us, our grandmother gives us our favorite childhood recipe. It's been a secret up until this moment, and we both get that recipe. I'm male energy. I'm going to get so excited that I'm going to type up an email telling everyone that I have this recipe, that I loved this recipe as a kid, that these are all the memories I have of it, and I'm going to scan that recipe and I'm going to share it with everyone. And then I'm likely going to take that recipe and tuck it in my recipe box. Quite unlikely that I'm actually going to make it very often. Female energy is completely different. Female energy is going to get the recipe and they're going to make it. And while they're making it, they're going to go back into all of the memories and experiences. But then they're going to be aware of the fact that they don't want to share this secret recipe. It's sacred to them. So they've learned and they've processed emotionally, usually. But what they do want to do is add some special ingredients. And in those special ingredients, what they're doing is they're changing the recipe. I have to just make a special, my niece is listening, and I'm going to say, hey, Isla, love you. Sorry for the interruption. I'm just excited that she's listening. Okay, starting over again. So the female energy is going to create the memories of the recipe, realize that they don't want to share it. They've baked it, they've eaten it, they've had all of the memories. They don't want to share it. So they're going to add some special ingredients to it. So they're going to nurture it and make it their own. And then they're going to make it for everybody. And anyone who's around, they're going to pass out the servings of that special treat. And so let's say in that same case, well, I think I did tell you in that same case. So let's say that that's the male-female version. Let's go to the masculine-feminine. So your female masculine, you're going to have gone through that cake process, but you're masculine. So you want to do it really quick. You want to take action. You are likely going to, probably, as masculine energy, you're probably going to start a new cake making business to be able to share your grandmother's recipe. As feminine energy, you're likely just going to share that recipe with the people closest to you. You're going to keep it small. You're going to be present in the moment and allowing. And so there's not necessarily a should or have to be. Oh, I think I just got in trouble. Guys, I have to say this, and I'm sorry that I'm interrupting my flow. I just got a message on the community standards from Facebook that in a live, I shouldn't be telling someone that I love them. Wow. Okay, that totally just happened. And I'm going to try to use that to regroup. Okay, so a female masculine energy is going to go through that entire process, but they're going to do it quickly. They're going to take necessary risks. So for example, with the cake example, let's say that, well, let's pretend it was a pizza. A female masculine energy is probably going to put pineapple on the pizza. It's unconventional, it's very fast moving, and they're willing to take a risk. If it is a female feminine, they're likely not going to take big risks. They're going to stay in the present moment. Okay, let's do that same thing if you are male masculine. If you're male masculine, you're doing it very quickly. Lynn, it's hard to put all the pieces together because I don't have my whiteboard and I can't see everything out. I do have to say that my niece Charlene, who is Isla's mom, did give me a really cool, let me see if I can get it up here. I probably won't be able to. You guys can't see it, but I'm going to bring my camera down. This is a whiteboard thingy, and it will soon be able to be my whiteboard. I just have to set it up. So I will have a whiteboard. But as you can tell, I get stumbly without my whiteboard because I can't think through what all the pieces are and what they've said. So Lynn, I'm hoping that that answered your question. So a female navigates through all of the processes, takes action, does it quickly. A female masculine goes through all the processes, takes action, and does it quickly. Yes, that's what it is. Okay. I still have the community standards slapping my wrists up there, so it's a little annoying. But that's okay. All right. So tonight, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was the love. Yeah, you know what? I think I will put that in, Lynn. She says maybe it could be a separate lesson. Maybe even next week when I have my whiteboard, I will be able to go through the quadrant of what that would look like for everyone. That's a good idea. I will write that down. Perfect. Okay. All right. So what I wanted to be able to talk about tonight is love versus fear. And the reason that this topic came up is because not just one person last week, two people, and I know that doesn't sound like very many, but in 7 years, nobody's ever brought it up. Two people last week brought up the fact after their soul reveal reading that the natural law of polarity isn't a unionist perspective, and that they wanted to be unionists. And what that would mean is that they wanted only the concept of love. And fair enough. And the overall statement from both of them was that all there is love. And while that's fair, and probably true in a frequency and vibration, it comes along the lines of the theory of there is no such thing as space and time. Also very true, but not realistic for most human beings. We do live in an age where there is behavior, thoughts, feelings, experiences, and expectations that are in love, which is a high frequency and vibration, and are in fear, which is a low frequency and vibration. And so, while they sound like they're two different things, they are the same thing. And that's why I brought the dime out as the experience. When you look at love and fear and you call it humanity, you can look at that the same way as the dime. You see it, you call it a dime, but it has a head and a tail. And so I wanted to talk about the human concept or the misconception that polarity is a separatist energy. It is not. We cannot know one without the other. If we don't understand that which creates fear, then we are not going to fully choose love because we won't know what not to choose. We then don't know love because we don't know what the opposite of that would be. And the same with fear. We need to understand fear so that we can choose love. The idea, while absolutely incredible, that there is only love is a really hard concept to understand. If someone is mean to you or cruel, vicious, and violent, you're not going to likely explain their behavior as coming from a place of love. But in fact, it is a degree of love. It's a very low degree of love. And in trying to understand high frequency and low frequency, we've given them separate names: fear and love. And so think of the name as fear and love as a degree in which you move along a scale as to what the vibration is of the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and experiences. Love is a place of power. Fear is a place of trigger. Neither is any better than the other. They're both essential. They're both necessary. And so as we move through understanding that it's not fear versus love, that they are the same thing, but we need to have that stipulation of versus, because what that is the space in between love and fear are different variations or gradations of feeling love. And so as we move through a map that is our soul reveal reading, we have the ability to look at fear not as a punishment, not as something bad, but as a way in which our frequency gets lowered. And so we'll go back to the statement: if you do not feel mostly awesome, there is something that is affecting your frequency and your vibration. That effect, having given a name in your soul reveal reading, simply gives you a path to follow. And it's a limited path. There are only 3 ways in which you express your lowest frequency and vibration. And instead of having to have a million possibilities, you go to those 3. If you want to say to me, well, so my fear stories are disillusionment, vengeance, and blame. And if I came to you and I said, I'm feeling very frustrated. Yes, I may be feeling sad and frustrated, but at the root of it, at the root of every description I'm possibly going to give to it, it's only one of my 3 fear stories. It's blame. And blame then, which for me is my 3rd fear story, it means something. When I'm experiencing that low frequency and vibration, it's a message from cosmic intelligence. It's a message that my soul is trying to communicate with my mind through my body. There's nothing more whole than that. When soul, mind, and body are communicating, the chance of us being in that state of fear, in that low frequency and vibration, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so we don't want to think of our fear stories as a punishment or as the enemy, but we do want to think of them as generational trauma, as possible healing. We heal our fear story when we stand and face it, when we don't resist against it, when we don't avoid, ignore, escape, or punish ourselves for it. The moment the fear story arrives, it's letting you know the map. It's literally showing you the path to grow, to heal, and to raise your frequency and vibration. I would like to assign homework. If you're here in this session, maybe not Isla, she might not know, just because, we're going to wait a couple more years before we give you your divine assignment. So maybe you can figure it out on your own and then just come and tell Auntie Tracy what it is. But the rest of you here all have your soul reveal reading. You have these pieces. You know exactly what takes you out of alignment, one of 22 possible triggered energies or generational traumas. And you know what message it's trying to give you, which is your divine assignment. And so as we use this information and we grow beyond the soul reveal reading into the full human being user manual, what we literally have is a map. If I'm feeling blame, it means that I've been triggered, and for me that's by betrayal. And there are many ways that betrayal can present itself, but think of it as a constant disappointment. If I am constantly disappointed and I've gone into a state of betrayal, which is my third fear story, I cannot be expressing, practicing, or being in my high vibration, my third love story, which is purposefulness. I can't be on purpose and in blame. It cannot be someone else's fault if I am in alignment. And so we have all of these tools. When I say to you that your soul reveal reading is a map, I truly mean that. Well, the soul reveal reading itself only gives you those two pieces. Those two pieces are more than enough for you to learn self-awareness without judgment. And when you're ready and you have the full human being user manual, you have a scale of awareness that literally on a piece of paper is the map. We just have to understand what each piece means. Okay, so this is our lesson from the Soul Reveal reading today. Is there anything that anybody has to wants to talk about? Any questions, concerns, or ideas? Anything that you need to know to bring yourself to a more peaceful place, to be in a state of conscious self-awareness without judgment? Is there anything that you need from me today? Let's imagine that for the next couple days, you take your fear stories and you pay attention to the subtle and the obvious ways that they show up. There is no judgment. There's a simple, for me, it would be disillusionment, vengeance, or blame. That's blame. Okay, that's what blame looks and feels like. Oh, that's what vengeance looks and feels like. Joe's asking, I want to know about processing. I'm not sure I know how to process anything. So Joe, that would kind of go back to Lynn's question. I would need to know, so if it's processing, you're female, I would imagine. Although male energy processes, it's just in a completely different way. Male energy wants to just learn so it can be shared. And so it's information being processed and shared. For female energy, it's not so important that the information is just shared. It needs to be transformed. It's not just information, it's knowledge. It's not just knowledge, it's wisdom. And so for male energy, that intersection between information and knowledge is really short. For female energy, that intersection between wisdom and knowledge is the processing, the nurturing, and then the sharing. And so if you want to know how to, I'm going to, unless you share with me, like tell me if I remember correctly, you are female feminine, but you've been chameleoning as masculine. Just confirm that with me so that I'm sharing the right information. So if you're female energy, processing is a really important, unique to you process. And so you need to understand exactly what you thrive in. And so processing mostly is about the pause. You need to be in that moment where you feel grounded. Let's think of that processing as the grounding part. So when you learn something, you can't just keep all of it in this ball that's ever moving and changing. You need to take pieces of it and absorb it. It means that you're likely going to learn through studying, through spending more time with it, through shifting it into different ways of perceiving it. You likely feel overwhelmed all of the time for two reasons, Joe. You haven't found your unique processing flow, but also because you chameleon into masculine energy, you try to do that very fast. And so, you know, finding a unique to you way to make things come to fruition is why slowing things down. Yes, so for feminine energy, it's essential that we slow things down. It's the only way in which you can process. If you're going too fast, you're doing too much, and that's completely out of alignment. And so for let's go to feminine energy. If you process and your feminine energy, you're going to want to first feel it so that you can think it through. But if you're chameleoning as masculine, you're going to try to think it out without feeling what's right for you, without feeling what is in alignment. And so with feminine energy, there's a very definite need to slow down thoughts, to slow down feelings, to slow down experiences, to go within, to pause, and to breathe. Whereas that wouldn't be true for masculine energy. The slower masculine energy goes, the more frustrated and overwhelmed they're going to get. They need to move through things quickly. The details aren't as important to masculine energy because they're strung together in an understanding, whereas feminine needs the details in order to process. So if you're female feminine, that processing time may be the longest period of time. You might learn something in 5 minutes, but you might process what that means to you, how you feel about it, what it's going to create for days or weeks. And then, this is the important part, especially for female energy, you're not here to regurgitate other people's lessons. You're here to take that lesson, process what that looks, feels, and means for you, and then to create something that's yours. And it's what you create that you share. I'll very often use examples of master female energy. Adele is a master female energy. She took all of her childhood pain and she processed it into a conscious awareness that she needed to use her voice. And then she wrote songs, and then she shares those songs. That her music, while it's beautiful, is her healing process that she shares with the world. Adele would be a female masculine energy. She just makes things happen. Okay, and so slowing things down for female is important. Speeding things up for male is important. Let's imagine that anyone born in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s came to human beings through the second dimension, through the natural law of polarity, wanting to be part of the fifth dimensional ascension of awareness, but not sure if that was going to happen in their lifetime. And so for us, when we created our timeline, we had to have the masculine and the feminine. We had to have the male and the female, because all of the lessons that Earth needed to learn before we could raise into a fifth dimensional awareness was too many lessons for a singular being to have to possess. And so if we choose female and someone else is choosing male, the female is going to have the slow nurturing and allowing, the female is going to have the learning, processing, nurturing, sharing, and the male is going to have the learning and the sharing. And so if the female has done all of that work to put that information together, the male can just take it and disperse it. The same with masculine and feminine. If the female is slow moving, nurturing, and allowing, and I needed my whiteboard. This was feminine, slow, allowing, and nurturing. The masculine is fast-moving, assertive in nature, and taking action. They're collecting different tools, but when their wisdom comes together, that's when the wholeness is unified, where all of the lessons are gathered. Let's imagine that each of us has this unique assignment, and that as each of us does our part as an assignment, we are a piece of the puzzle, and the puzzle comes together. And so to understand your first divine assignment of female or male, it's the way that you create the reality around you. Your second of masculine or feminine is what that external experience looks and feels like. And your third divine assignment of navigation type is who you are, but also who you should and should not be creating energetic endeavors with. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, or ideas? And while I'm waiting for if there are those, I'll share this with Joe. As female, feminine, processing for you means finding the way in which you take the information you've learned and how to apply it to you, to your life and to your experience, but also how you're going to take that information and make it better, how you're going to develop a concept that you can share with the world. Mona says, I heal my fear stories not while out of alignment, but when I step back into alignment and in the present moment. Yeah, we heal our fear stories, and this part is what makes this work so challenging, is no one can believe how simple it is. How do you heal your trauma? You acknowledge it. That's all it takes. And name it. That's blame. If we don't acknowledge and we have the wrong name, the trauma doesn't heal. It gets fed by our lack of conscious awareness and conscious competence. And so in any given moment that you don't feel awesome, you want to name which of your 3 fear stories it is. Not only because it will tell you which divine assignment you're out of alignment with and what action or inaction to take, but also because it is the process. That's blame. And all of a sudden, you're facing it. You're not pushing against it. You're not resisting it. You are literally allowing the message to be received. And let's imagine that our fear stories, the names of our fear stories, are literally just a way of understanding what we are receiving when we're out of alignment. When I am not in alignment with my truth, my power of abundance, I'm going to be triggered by betrayal. And that betrayal is going to show up in my habits, my beliefs, my thoughts, my experiences as disillusionment, vengeance, and blame. And so I only know my true self when I know my full human being user manual. So for example, if I wanted to introduce myself to you as my energetic truth, I would say to you, hi, I am male masculine taker. My power is abundance. My trigger is betrayal. Betrayal expresses as disillusionment, vengeance, and blame. But my power of abundance expresses as balance, passion, and purpose. And all of a sudden, you would understand me at a degree that we don't get the chance to understand one another, because most of us don't even know what it is that's triggering us or what it is that's empowering us. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people say, I'm taking my power back, and they're talking about being warriors for a cause. They're talking about using their voice in aggressive, assertive ways. That's not your power. Your power isn't external. It's 100% internal, and it's embodied in you being grounded in knowing who you are. And your soul reveal reading has given you those pieces. You know who you are out of alignment. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for the rest of your human being user manual, when you know what you don't want to experience, guess what's going to automatically happen? You're going to experience what you do want. You may not know its name yet, but you will only ever be able to stay in that higher frequency and vibration by not fighting against your fear stories. Embody them as though they are, which they are sacred messengers in every given moment through your thoughts, feelings, and experiences, telling you, especially as your energy level drops, that you're not in your truth. Are there any questions, concerns, or ideas? Anything that you need from me today that you don't feel like you have received? Okay, beautiful. If you do have any questions, concerns, or ideas, or a topic that you would like me to cover in these Monday night sessions, please go ahead and private message me. You can message me in the group, but please do an at Tracy Trimble, not at Tracy Trimble PhD, at Tracy Trimble, and I will be able to answer that for you. Lynn, cool. That's a beautiful, perfect story. Yeah. Peter, you have a question? Go ahead. I'm good for that. Just doesn't show me if people are typing, and like doesn't give me the little blah, 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 to let me know if people are typing or not. So I will, I'll wait just a second to see if Peter's question comes up, and if it doesn't, that's okay. If it does, even better. So let me just do a quick summary of what I wanted to cover tonight. That our natural law of polarity is a guide. It is not separating us. It is giving us degrees of conscious awareness, which when we ascend to the fifth dimension, of course, there will only be love because we will be able to understand the space in between love and fear, but we're not there yet. And so this polarity is not a separation. It's a way of understanding. And as we understand more and more, and we are aware of confronting our truth, in not resisting it or fighting against it, but simply saying, that's what that is, everything opens up. And I hope that Lynn's little example is something that you can document for yourself multiple times a day. In any given moment, when you recognize that you are perceiving from your trigger, whether it's your trigger or not, whether you know what that is, that your fear stories are guiding you, that's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. And the more you are aware of that, the easier it becomes for you to be in that higher vibration of love. And so you get to the point of, okay, I don't feel very passionate right now. Well, I'm not in alignment with my second divine assignment, because for me, that's my second love story. Okay, I'm just waiting on Peter's question. It is coming, and then we'll wrap things up. Is today Monday? Yes, it is. All right. For those of you in my Practitioner's Mastery class, which starts in just a few minutes, I will be there soon. Peter asks, can you please provide a few examples of how male, female, masculine, feminine expresses in how we do? So concrete examples, how it shows up in how one acts. I caught how you described Adele. Okay, so Peter, the whole first half of this class was about that. So in a few minutes, you'll be able to catch it live. But essentially, some of the examples, I gave a great example about sharing a recipe, how male energy would do that differently than female energy, and how masculine energy would do that differently than feminine energy. But let's imagine really quickly, just to sum it up. If you are male energy, you are task oriented. You're here to learn something and to share it. The processing of that is female energy's job. They're here to learn, process, nurture, and share. And so imagine that masculine energy's process is quicker. It's more innate for them. It isn't an external process, it's more of an internal process. Whereas female energies, it's an external process. They need to slow down their thoughts and feelings. They have to slow down time. Whereas if it's feminine or masculine, feminine energy needs to focus on the emotion, how it feels, and then think it through. Whereas masculine energy needs to think it through and then how that feels. And so if you're male masculine, you're going to learn something very quickly, and then you're going to share it as quickly, and then you're going to move on quickly. If you are female masculine energy, you're going to learn something. You're going to process what that means to you. You're going to change it so that you're not regurgitating that information into some sort of knowledge, and you're going to share it. But you're going to also do that quickly. You're going to do it intellectually. If you are female feminine, you're going to do that emotionally and slowly. If you are masculine feminine, you're going to learn and share. You're also going to do that emotionally first. than mentally. So I hope that makes sense. It's hard without the whiteboard, and I know I've said that for a month now, but like I said, I have a tool. I just have to figure out how to hook it up. So Peter, go back and maybe watch the beginning of this, which is cool because you can fast forward and rewind. But that's essentially what we talked about earlier. Again, if anyone has any subject that they would like to talk about or have any questions as we move into these Monday night sessions, please feel free to private message me and I will cover that content. Have a great night, guys. Thank you for being with me. Good night.